You know what? It's fired from the hip. Let's see, in this folder, let's see, emotional immaturities, biases, weak spots in love and or in any and all relationship. Weak spots in love. Wonder what's in this folder. Nah, let's not look at that. How about 4 kinds of boundaries and ways of trust? Sounds pretty interesting. Stages of relationship growth, ways of trust, metrics for trust quality, ways of honest measure of trust in self and others. Nah, let's not look at that one either. Red flags, green flags, pre and post breakups. It's pretty good stuff in here. You know, the way this one came together, I learned a lot from this. And I think I can learn a lot more. You know, I look at these stages of relationships, these phases, where they go through phases. They're in these stages. Nah, let's not look at that either. Let's look at this. What's in this folder? Superficial talk and sentimental delusions. Disagree without being disagreeable. Nice topic. Expressions of dignity. Manners of speech. Doesn't let hurt feelings fester with loved ones. That's a pretty interesting one right there. List of hard or difficult questions to face. Let's take a look into that. Here's a hard one to face. Every man gets to this certain age where he has 2 visions. He needs to get like those bifocal thingies where it's got like a little line in it where the top vision is for out and the bottom one's for reading up close. Yeah, just one of those benefits of the flesh. It's this. 101 ways to convey the meaning. Doesn't let hurt feelings fester with loved ones. Maybe interesting, maybe not. Who knows? Ooh, why is that even in there? Let's set that to the side. I don't know why that was in there either. Here's a little meditation on self-love and self-compassion. That's a thing I think everyone should do. It doesn't matter if they've been through trauma or whatever. Anyways, I don't know why these 4 papers are in there. That's kind of weird. Usually my notes are spot on. Not necessarily the most beautiful looking things, but they're organized. Manners of speech. That's a fun one right there. That's new. That's actually new. Peace talks, making amends. That's a good one too. Not getting tripped up in personal feelings and caught up in emotions that ruin the opportunity to establish an atmosphere of friendship that fosters the kind of forgiveness and understanding that is readily moved into reconciliation. I know, could you imagine packaging something like that and selling it? It's almost tacky, isn't it? People do it all the time, though. Because if you can help somebody, hey, it still counts. It's not tacky, it's not sleazy. Well, I look at it like if it helps me, it'll probably help someone else. Here's the fun one. The expressions of dignity. See, these things, 101 expressions of dignity. See, it's stuff like that. See, all these, everything you see here when it comes to the red flags, the green flags, the expressions of dignity, the manners of speech, how to disagree without being disagreeable. All that doesn't let hurt feelings fester with loved ones. All that stuff. All that pertains to healing grudges, resentments. It all plays a part in chipping away at a heart that was turned to stone. Cold stone. Stone cold. I think that's like a wrestler or something. Anyways. This is a good one too. I won't even tell you what that is. It's none of your business. Now this. That's good stuff right there. That's how to disagree without being disagreeable. That is really good stuff. This is more manners of speech and developing listening skills. Here's some more manners of speech. That's another one. Really good one. That is really good stuff right there. Yeah, there's just so many key points. I mean, all these things. I mean, a person could take just one little thing, and it keeps unfolding and unfolding and unfolding. It's just it never ends. I honestly believe once a person gets whatever they're doing, if they get the basics, I was going to say the principles or the fundamentals behind something. Once they can strip away everything and cut through the shit and get down to the basics of something, of what it truly is at the center of its core, then they can build out from there, and it just unfolds and unfolds. I could be wrong, but the way I feel like right now, just these two work bags I have of the notes I've accumulated and simplified down, it's blown up into a huge mass, and then I simplified it down and organized it a few years ago. And I honestly believe with just the few notes I got going on here, I could probably use for the rest of my life and never take on any new notes. biases, biases, biases of the human psyche, emotional immaturities, weak spots in love, superficial talk, sentimental delusions, you know, any relationship, in all relationships, it seems like they all have little roadblocks, little places where they can't grow anymore. They're jammed up. Toxic, if you want to call it toxic. And then they may have other areas that can go well in depth. But connection. I honestly believe it's all about connection. True connections. And those connections can be high quality connections or low quality connections or barely connections or just barely connected. But yet so many times we can talk with one another and have no connection. There's telltale signs of it too. You can see it. People on the outside can see it. If you get in a community where a bunch of people are doing it, then everybody's like blind to it. Am I saying everybody should just trust everyone else implicitly? No, I'm not saying no ridiculous stuff like that. But I'm saying the more superficialities, the more surface level, or the shallows people are trapped in because they don't feel safe to go any further to try to make those connections because it's not a safe place. Because see, environments, it's all about the environments that make those connections to make the person feel safe. Myself, I honestly believe a person can have the exact opposite problem. That the connections are made too easily, too quickly, too strongly. So you got to trip them up. Keep them from forming. Don't let it just grow anywhere and everywhere. Keep a tight rein on the garden. That's what I believe. But who knows? I could be just living in fear. Maybe it's me that can't handle it. And life itself can handle it and make it right. I can't. I already know this. Maybe I might be able to come to that point somehow. Haven't been able to yet. Let's do something fun. We got like 1 minute left before it's 15 minutes. Let's look at red flags, green flags, post and pre-breakups. Let's see. You would think this would be a very well articulated subject, but from where I'm coming from now, this is it. That's all there is. That's all it takes right there. That's the breakup. That's the breakup. That's when it's time to break it off. Yeah, it's amazing how our hearts and minds are made. Okay. This is how you do it. Be clear and direct. Pick the right time and place. Be truthful about why you want to end things. Avoid saying anything hurtful or insulting. Try to understand their perspective and remain firm in your choice to end it. To take responsibility for your part. Be willing to take responsibility for any actions you may have contributed to the breakup. To self, for sure, but only for the other if you know you owe it to them. And there's some real fine lines in there, what people think of as what you owe and what you don't owe. You give your partner space and time to process their feelings. Don't try to contact them immediately. Once the breakup has happened, it's important to move on and focus on yourself. That's the basic plan that I wrote out for myself. And the reason I'm going to go up 15 minutes again. Yeah, so much for committing to 15-minute videos, right? But anyways, this little happy little page right here of how to break up. For someone like me, relationships I've gotten into throughout the years, always had an uncanny way of picking the wrong person. Subconsciously self-sabotaging myself. But anyways, that last one, that was such a pain in the ass to deal with everything that tripped me up. It took 3 years just dicking with passwords and stuff. Now I have a little bit better idea of boundaries. A little bit. Yeah, it's like if you got to see my phone or anything like that, it's like, no, you're gonna, it's like trust is gonna have to be built a certain way, but it ain't gonna be about knowing each other's passwords and everything and being able to do all that shit. No, I'm gonna keep my heart guarded this time. Here's some other things pertaining to that. Fear of vulnerability, ego and pride, lack of communication skills, fixed mindsets. The 4 horsemen of what I call the 4 corners of emotional disorders, PTSD, emotional immaturities, abandonment issues, and depression. I think those all play hand in hand, and everything else is stemmed from that. Now that is a sweeping generalization. Victim mentality. This is about victim mentality. Manifestations of arrogance. The root causes of arrogance. Nihilism. Unhealed emotional and psychological disorders. That's some serious stuff right there. I would like to actually go back to school and become licensed in dealing with that kind of thing. Because this is all I study anyway. I mean, I'm always doing it every damn day anyway. I mean, I'm my greatest test subject. There's more stuff on arrogance, manifestations of arrogance. Notice that wasn't mentioned on the front of that. It just talked about post and pre-breakup, red flags, green flags. Green flags? Here's another paper that I like doing that I really enjoyed because it just made me realize, oh my God, it's so weird. It's like a lot of these times I do these papers and then I get to looking at it and it's like, shit. It's like I'm learning myself. Something that I think I already know about. And then once I really delve into it and look at it, it's like, no, I'm scratching the surface. This one is dealing with someone who's flaky or flighty. Thinking about everything I've grown up around. You know, people you can't trust. Unreliable as hell. And as I look at those things, and it's like, oh my God. Helps me to get a little bit better idea of who to let in and who not to let in. That's more of the human biases. Things about meekness, humility, blatantly lying and stealing versus playing the field of the misinformed and ignorant. But anyways, all these are all the same category from my mind and my point of view when it comes to why to break up, red flags, green flags. One side of the folder is all these things. And this one is actually how to break up. That's a little bit more in depth. There's a checklist there. And this comes from breaking up the hard way. Every damn time. Yeah, this stuff is some heavy duty stuff. And this is all the red flags consolidated down to about 100 or so, then consolidated down even further into about a dozen. Oh my God, we're at 21 minutes, 51 seconds. All right, so let's try to wrap it up with the point. See, we looked at this folder that we didn't look at that has superficial talk and sentimental delusions in it. Expressions of dignity, manners of speech, doesn't let hurt feelings fester with loved ones. List of hard and difficult questions to face. We didn't even touch on that. 4 kinds of boundaries. Ways of trust. Weak spots in love. Of any and all relationships. So I guess the call to action, the CTA. Oh yeah, just for a little disclaimer, this is for like dating, wound up moving in together, whatever. Things got going too far, a year into it, 2 years into it. And you do damn well, you ignore the red flags in the early days. This is for that, before marriage. This isn't the how-to after marriage. But the statistics shows that most divorces initiated in the United States are by the women. The women pull the trigger on it. And I know precisely why. Connection. It's like one area where they really, really, really needed that connection. They're not getting it. Or it's really weak. And then it goes weaker. Unless, say, the man just goes, say he's got unresolved issues that he's swept under the carpet. He failed to know himself good enough. And he become whatever, established in his career, whatever. And say just because someone's winning at money or career does not mean they're doing worth shit. I've seen it more than once. I mean, shoot. We all see it more than once. Anybody can pick up some kind of tabloid magazine about famous couples and stuff, and you think, well, shoot, they had everything. 2 actors together, millionaires, Hollywood, famous, successful. Marriage gone downhill. What happened? This is what happened. Unforeseen, or let's unacknowledged incompatibilities. Let me reword that with different wording. Oh, am I a relationship expert? Well, hell yeah. Here it is. Unacknowledged incompatibilities. And yeah, I've learned that in myself first. Any kind of smack you hear me talking, I learned it in myself first. Anything you hear me talk about out of my folders, out of my notes, anything I've written, all came out of my journaling and what I've learned about me in my life. And then I put it in contrast to what's going out there in the world. And lo and behold, looks like I'm not alone. A lot of other people go through it too. But anyways, seems so simple, right? No, it's not. Because those unacknowledged incompatibilities that can wear so many different faces. Many different faces. Still the same thing, but it can wear many hats. Many different hats. But I think that connection thing is the biggest thing. To me, that's what it's been for me. The connection. The ability to connect properly. See, the way a woman needs connection, of course, we all heard it many times. It's so cliche. We got to validate her emotions or whatever. Well, it's like this. She needs to know that you can understand her emotionally. She's got a hold of her intellect. Don't worry about that. She needs to know that you can at least acknowledge and empathize, or at least sympathize properly to make those connections. Otherwise, they can't process things out. They get jammed up. And yeah, they need our help doing that, believe it or not. I mean, if you're standing there, then they need your help. And I think that's key. And I think that's where most men fell. That's where I felt. Failed. I got to get my teeth fixed and get new grinders put in. So that way I can talk right. Anyways, that's a few things. So honestly, here's the call to action. The CTA. Ask yourself whether about your lover, not necessarily your loved ones, but ask yourself about your lover. Am I sweeping anything under the carpet? Am I sweeping incompatibilities under the carpet? Because you see, when incompatibilities are unacknowledged, we think as long as we don't go into that area, they'll just go behind us into the past. And we can move on to the future and just get on with our lives. No. You know what that stuff does? Unacknowledged incompatibilities, they race way up into the future and they wait for us. And then when we get there, guess what? Those unacknowledged incompatibilities are standing there. And they'll be like, you thought you left me behind, didn't you? Guess what? I'm here to be acknowledged. And I will not stop until you acknowledge me. So, that's what an incompatibility says and does. That's the nature of it. Scary, I know. And yes, this is coming from a man who has 100% failure in relationships. I know what I'm talking about at this time. I know what causes failure. Anyways, the CTA, the call to action is, honestly check yourself. Am I honestly ignoring or trying to think that an incompatibility is just going to be left in the past and then I can run into the future and it'll be okay and I can outrun it? Because that's what most of us do. Really? Straight up. Anyways, it's 31 minutes, 57 seconds. That's a bit windy. Not too bad for somebody who's got a head full of phlegm and snot and all up in their lungs and everything. Been pretty sickly for a couple of weeks, but you know what? I'm not dead. I'm still in the game. Still talking smack. Why? Because I'm not dead. I got work to do. See you in the funny papers.